What's going on, Cowboys Nation? Welcome back to my channel. As you know, it's your girl, Cravin Cowboys. As always, before we get started, please I ask that you hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. If you listen to me on Twitter, give me a retweet. I'm still trying to grow my channel. I am just under 300 subscribers. And just to tell you guys the truth, I'm really trying to hit that mark before training camp. So it's just a couple weeks from now. So hit the like button, hit the share button, hit retweet for me. Just do me that favor. As you saw in the beginning, hit the Cash App. It's got just doing shows, things like that. Take time. As you know, training camp coming up, and just help your girl out. Add to the Shot the Law Nation as he calls the Oxnard Fund. It's helped me out a little bit. As you guys seen the Cash App on the way in, dollar sign MP Cox 90. Just help your girl out. Like I said, if you can't do that, hit the share button, hit the like button. Just trying to grow my channel from there. Ain't gonna hold you guys. Like I said, camp coming up. In a few weeks. And as you guys know, if you guys have followed me long enough, I went out there last year, and it was a great time. As you guys see the clip here, I said, kind of just kind of sitting there towards the front of the bleachers, and you guys can see the view. This kind of things that I'll be able to get. Going out there to Oxnard this year. I'm heading out there at the beginning of August, and clips like this, you guys see the safety room. You got the O line in the back. Of course, linebackers, things like that, wide receivers, and just being able to bring you guys content like this really just it helps me out as a content creator, helps me able to grow. Also helps me to be able to connect with you guys as well. Being able to see other content creators out there and just being able to really vibe, with other fans out there. Really just kind of gives me just a little bit more motivation to do content. Just to be honest with you guys, and like I said, this is my second year going into this, and I just really love the feeling that gives me. I feel like it brings me closer to my team. My favorite team. And just kind of brings me closer to other Cowboys fans. Being out here on the East Coast, we plenty of Cowboys fans. You guys already know, but able to connect with other fans on really more of a national level. Fans from other states, things like that. And of course, you guys know through the internet, the YouTube. You meet other people just in general. So it's just really just good to be able to vibe with you guys. I see you guys coming into the chat. Shout out to Loves Beauty. Shout out to Kelvin Hicks. Always in the chat for Star Chasers. My weekly show. Always showing love. I really appreciate you guys coming through. Really love you guys. Marcus McFarland. I think it's the first time I've seen you here for my show. Really appreciate you. Thank you guys so much for being in the building tonight. As you guys see from the thumbnail, go ahead and get started with the show. This is just really a series I kind of thought of, leading up to training camp. Like I said, I went out there last year, and had a really good time. Like I said, being able to see things, as me and Star always talk about on our show. We all, following the beat writers who are, were out there giving us, the pictures, the stories, player interviews, things like that. And just like I said, just being able to do it, be out there for me and myself, be able to see my own eyes, being able to see, my team, for the first time, and it could just kind of open my eyes just to another side of, just seeing actually what it takes for these guys to get, ready for the season, and just being able to kind of get, some of the footage that you guys see, on you guys' way in, just, in the intro, and also, seeing clips from the games and things like that. It just kind of just bring, like I said, just bring me kind of closer to my team, and being able to see what these guys actually have to go through to be able to get to, making the 53-man roster, and see what these guys have to go through, and even the guys who don't make the roster, and say you happen to see them on another team in the NFL, going forward, just from them being on the Cowboys roster, what they well part of what partly of what they went through, to be able to get that position if they are able to move forward in the NFL. So it's just good to see how some of these guys grow, and just to see the process that some of these guys go through. Thank you so much, Love's Beauty. I really appreciate that. Like I said, you guys have been following me long enough. I mentioned last year that, I'm more of like an introvert, type person. I did want to be a sports broadcaster when I was in college. I changed my major to communications, things like that. But, I kind of also went to psychology and things like that. So it just kind of went like a different path. But this is something I just always wanted to do. So to kind of pick this up as like a hobby, something I love doing, during the football season, to talk about, the team that I love. So it just kind of helped me, get better with creating content as well, and also kind of broaden my knowledge a little bit more of the NFL and football just in general. So, I really do appreciate that. I really do, appreciate you recognizing that, I just putting some work in. I know I'm not like a a daily, putting out content every day, things like that. But like I said, just being able to pick this up as like a hobby and just for it to help me grow personally and also, just like I said, and just kind of broadening my knowledge in other areas. So, like I said, just going to my second year, like I just want, like I created this show really, and also the series going forward. Just kind of explain how I came up with the series. I kind of just wanted to do like a countdown type thing where, each week or each show that I do leading up to camp, five, four, three, I would just do different things, do different topics that I'm looking forward to for training camp. Like I said, five players I'm looking forward to. The next show could be like, four position groups that maybe have like the most intense battles, three, maybe like three coaches that have maybe like the most pressure this year. So things just, just kind of like that, I just kind of thought that would be kind of cool, just kind of leading up to training camp. And really just for me, honestly, to kind of help the time go by just a little bit quicker, you know what I'm saying? So I just kind of created this show to, and also get you guys' opinion as well to see, some of the guys that you guys are looking forward to as well. So just as we go through the show, put you guys you guys' favorite guys down in the chat. And, we can talk about them as well. It's not just about what I want to talk about. It's it's about the guys you guys are looking forward to as well. And just speaking on that, I don't just have five guys that I'm looking forward to. You know what I mean? It's we have a whole 2024 draft class that we brought in, of course, this past off season. Of course, we have some guys from the 2023 season that didn't, may have not gotten the chance to put their best foot forward, or maybe maybe have gotten like a setback through injury, or maybe just didn't get a chance because there were some starters in front of them. So I just kind of, it's like some, just for example, some of these guys I'm looking forward to, and these guys here on the screen aren't necessarily the guys on my list, but just something guys are looking forward to. Like I said, maybe have had a step back due to injury, or maybe, just, kind of buried, deep in the depth chart, and just didn't get a chance to touch the field. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, as we go through this list, like I said, chime in, make sure you guys let me know what you guys' thoughts are, and maybe just some guys are looking forward to as well. See. And yeah, like I said, it's gonna be really, like I said, just five players, 5 to 6 players, that I'm looking forward to, for this upcoming season. Because as we know, defensive coordinator, going to the second year of Mike McCarthy's scheme, being a play caller, a second year, essentially of Dak, and McCarthy's offense. So just seeing how well they can progress. And just seeing, how well they can put together, as far as on the defense side, how well they can put together a scheme, how well they can use the personnel that they are presented with, and just maybe see how some of these pieces to the puzzle can come together during camp and leading up to week one. Yeah, JB, I definitely agree with you. And yeah, actually, yeah, some of those guys, that you mentioned here are definitely on the list. Like JB mentioned that he wants to see Overshown, Stevens Jr., and Diggs. Yeah, I definitely. And you saw some guys see in the thumbnail. Diggs was definitely up there. Stevens Jr. definitely one of my favorite. If you guys follow me on Twitter, Stevens Jr. is definitely like one of my favorite players. I'm looking forward to, just because, like I said, he seemed like a different player, a player that the Cowboys don't necessarily always. I'm not gonna say that they don't necessarily always go for, but we haven't seen a tight end. I mean, I'll take that back. We have seen tight ends who can be twitchy. We had, a Jeff Swain. We had, of course, about Jason Witten. Even I think there was another tight end that we had that could, break tackles. Jarwin, Blake Jarwin. We had, we've had physical tight ends before, but just, but we have had the years of, Dalton Schultz. You know what I'm saying? Like Blake Bell. Guys who may have and even Blake Bell didn't have that much of an impact on our team, but even, Sean McKeon, who just, recently went to the Lions, I believe. We've had those kind of tight ends as well who just been the kind of, catch and go down, not necessarily, yak guys, but, we do have a Ferguson, but would be nice, we've seen they brought in, Stevens Jr., we see they brought in a Brevin Span Ford. So it would be great to see, another example in a John Stevens Jr., who maybe can have that yak ability, maybe who can, be able to break tackles. We know he's transitioning from being a wide receiver, so it would just be interesting to see, just how physical just the physicality that he might be able to bring to the team. Yeah, and I'm with you on that one too, JB. Like, yeah, do not rush over Sean or Stevens Jr. or Diggs as well. Like, we don't want to see none of those guys being rushed back, and potentially, I don't even want to speak about the injuries, because I hate to even put that in the air, but I think the Cowboys are kind of learning their lesson on that. just not trying to rush these guys back too soon. We've seen McCarthy, and we've heard about some of the coaches, position coaches, talk about not rushing these guys back from injury. So we can definitely hope that they definitely don't do that. So yeah, we just go ahead and get started with the show. And like I said, guys, hit the like button, hit the share button. We go ahead and get started here. And these guys that I have listed coming up are really in no particular order. Like I said, I will, the last guy I will say, like I said, one of my favorites. But like I said, these guys listed here are in no particular order. But these are just guys who caught my eye, in the previous year, maybe in the previous, training camp, last year, and maybe even during the season, if they were able to see the field in the regular season, that just guys who I think can make an impact. And then, some things that we've heard throughout this past offseason itself, in OTAs and things like that, and just seeing maybe the impact that these guys can have on the team. So here we go. All right, here we go. Like I mentioned before, some of these guys have seen the field. Like my first couple of guys here, and actually it's just two. But the reason that I kind of group these guys together because they're both going for the same position, and instead of talking about two different guys at the same position, having them separate, we got to put them together. And honestly, I really think, hey, a shout out to Keystone in the building. What's going on, fam? How you doing? Very good to see you. Thank you for joining me. Appreciate you. But yeah, of course we have Deuce Bond, the 6th round pick, and of course we have Hunter Licky, coming on as an undrafted rookie. We've seen them both, in the last preseason, and of course both during the last season, excuse me, the regular season. And unfortunately, we didn't see a lot, from our 6th round pick, and like I said in previous shows with Star, I don't put it all on Deuce because we did have problems with the offensive line. Like McCarthy said, we never really had our starters until maybe midway into the season. And then, like I said, at the same time, the Cowboys, just even from the beginning, it just seemed like they never really tried to notch, a role for, a Deuce Vaughn. And then, I mean, we can go back, like I said, to the preseason. I don't know if it was just me, but like I said, it just like you can tell when coaches love their guys because they implement them into the scheme, right? Like we seen from Deuce got involved a little bit late into the game, what was that, the Seattle game, and even in the Jags game, and he was making plays, and not like I said, it's not like Deuce wasn't doing anything, but we saw him getting involved late. Of course that was because Rico and Rico was getting the start, and they were trying to get his legs going, but but as far as maybe the Raiders game, we saw Hunter, getting starts on the first couple of drives and just a little bit, and just like I said, in my opinion, just a little more plays drawn up for Hunter, specifically, and seeing the ball in his hands, we see how he can, kind of tiptoe through some of these holes, kind of break some of these tackles just because of his build. Maybe that could be. Um, maybe a pro that he may have overduced, as far as size and, and also at the same time, that experience, the trust and chemistry that he has with Dak, that he's been able to build over the season. We did have, of course, that mishap in Miami where we had the fumble at the goal line. But, before that, we saw on that series, and even in the Raiders game in the preseason, we saw, like I said, a couple of series where it seemed like Hunter Lippy was the key, I guess the key ball handler on those drives. So, like I said, when coaches love these guys, they seem to use them more, right? And not saying they don't like Deuce. I'm saying, we saw his story, how he was brought on, his dad made the call and things like that. But fast forward to 2024 in the off season, they have to put Deuce in a wide. They're trying to find him, in a wide receiver role. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like, actually, I'll go ahead and bring out, I'm sure you guys have, heard it on the shows, but, we've heard Bryan Broaddus talk about how there's, they having, of course, a running back in the backfield, you know what I'm saying? But, having, and we even seen that, I think it was a Seattle game where it just seemed like he went out on the out route and then came back in towards the seam and actually caught, had to go up and catch the ball. But, that's something different, and getting this guy into some kind of space, if you're having the offensive line pull one way, and then you're able to get Deuce into the open space going the opposite direction. Even he was even breaking tackles, so it's not like he needs space. It's not like he needs, plays to be, drawn up and to be successful. But he, sometimes he may just need that leg up because of his role. I'm sorry, because of his size, or he just may not have like being as stocky as Hunter Lippy. So just some of these things may fall, you know, to either side. Like I said, him having the draft capital, vice Hunter Lippy, in my opinion, having a little bit more trust, a little bit more chemistry. You know what I'm saying? We heard, Hunter Lippy running with the first team in OTA, but Deuce Vaughn is still trying to find a role with the wide receivers. You know what I'm saying, or with the running back. So it just seemed like, I don't know if maybe I don't know if it's going to be the come down to where one guy gets the job and one guy doesn't, or because I think they keep of course maybe four running backs on the roster, 4 to 5, depending. What I'm saying, and of course we know the two starting running backs are going to be Rico and Zeke. So it's just and that's no in a particular order. I don't know who's starting, but it's just with these two guys kind of going for the same position. I just think it's going to be like we always talk about, what can you bring that's different to the role? We're still looking for our speed guy, and Deuce Vaughn has that. And it's not saying Hunter doesn't have speed, but we've seen what Deuce can do when he does break a tackle or when he does get in open space. We kind of not compare him to Turpin, but as far as being one of the fastest guys, you know, in space on this team, we need that speed, especially in the backfield. We have these thumpers in the running back room, but we need that speed. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, it's going to be interesting to see. Just of course, one of the battles. I don't like I said, I don't think it's going to be a personal battle. All these running backs in this room are going to be looking for a spot. In this room, but it's just gonna. Let me see. Yeah, Love me said, "What did I say about our O line?" Yes, that's definitely going to be like it. Like we always talk about on our show. Like it's all about the chemistry that they build. It's all about the offensive line, really being the staple. That's where it begins, right? In the trenches, hiking the ball. Even when you have a false start or if a quarterback drops the ball, that disrupts the entire play. So that's really the core of where everything begins. So if you don't have the chemistry, it's hard to get your run game going. We saw that. We talk about possibly Tyre Broaddus not being what we need at the center position. That's why we drafted another center. That's why we have Brock Hoffman going for that position, and they even threw TJ Bass in there just because he's shown that he can be viable at different positions. So it's just this all like I said, a lot of these battles going down in training camp coming up are definitely going to be interesting. And, Keystone says my eye outs for Justin Rogers. Yeah, definitely. I'm with you on that. I still need to. I'd be so focused. Like I said, some of my favorite groups going into this year. Tight end group, linebacker group. Looking forward to them. But yeah, definitely that defensive tackle room, and I'm still hoping we still bring some depth coming into that room. But yeah, Justin Rogers, and they spoke about that too. Coming, since the draft, and really, before they even really got really deep into OTAs, saying that Justin Rogers would have had, a great chance to start because just because the depth is just so thin. I mean, we have, the journeyman Carl Davis, and then we have Osa, who's been dealing with I think a hip or a thigh, type. I don't know if it's a full injury or but something that something that's been bothering him. So and we've just, of course, we know we brought in Denzel Jackson, but we've just, we're just completely thin at that position. So it's just going to be interesting, to see how they handle that. And what's going on, Lamar, aka Common Sense? What's going on, fam? Definitely happy to see you. What's up? What's up? Happy Sunday. Hope you guys are chilling. I am definitely chilling. This week I definitely, like I said, I wanted to put a little bit more into, I want to, create a show. I took, some days off from work. So I figure when I, take off from work, I put a little bit more into, a little bit more into the content side. So I want to, bring you guys a show, just like I said at the beginning of my series. So I really hope you guys stay tuned for this series. I'm like I said, I really been kind of, thinking it out, and I'm like I said, really looking forward to training camp. And like I said, if you guys are just now coming in, like I said, what you guys are looking forward to, put some of your favorite guys that you're looking forward to in training camp, and we'll definitely discuss them as well. Because it's not just for, like I said, for me, it's not just these five players I'm looking forward to. It's a lot more than just these guys I'm looking forward to. So let's go ahead and keep going. Next guy coming up for me is Eric Scott Jr. Actually, and we spoke about him a little bit on my weekly show with Star Chasers, and I don't know if I spoke about him like individually, anytime last year, but I do know, going to camp last year, he was one of the names and one of the players that stood out, as far as, having a good camp, showing, making plays on a consistent level. But just, unfortunately, when it got to, like, because he even did decent in the first preseason game, going back to kind of, rewatch some of those preseason games. He did, somewhat decent, in the Seattle game. From what I saw, it wasn't, all the way great, but and then it just kind of tapered off. I mean, I'm sorry, not in the Seattle game, but the Jags game. And then when he got into the Seattle game, it kind of got to where it just seemed like, he kind of lost where the ball was, and it just seemed like some plays kind of got out of hand. And then from there, we never really saw a lot more of him. And then we know he didn't really see the field. During the regular season. So, but we do know, I think, I mean, I'm going to say, in my opinion, he's going to have more of a chance maybe than some of the other guys, that have recently been added. They get added Gary on Conley. They brought in some of them drafted guys as well. Josh DeBerry drafted Kalen Carson. And, of course, there's other guys that have been here for a few years that are still in the room as well. Like, we do still have, Izzy McQuamu, Nashawn Wright, Josh Butler, guys like that. So that's one of the rooms, like we talked about, that's some of those stacked rooms. Like that's definitely a stacked room, you know what I mean? Like this, not saying that Eric Scott has been buried, in his depth chart, because like I said, I think he stands out because of the draft capital. Like we know last year the Cowboys jumped up, they traded up to get him. So I think that's something that he made. I think that may be his leg up. You know what I'm saying? Like that may be his what do you call that advantage that he has over some of the other guys in the room. That he has that draft capital. He has that, and even like I said, he had a good camp. And then just recently, I was listening to some of the some audio from Bryan Broaddus. He recently was able to get an interception. He was able to pick off Trey Lance in these OTA before they went out, broke off for break. So just to hear that, just to see that he's still making plays, to see that he's still, ringing, his name is still ringing bells in that building. That shows that he's still putting in that work. He's still, putting in work in the weight room, and even if you guys have been listening to Brock Hoffman's podcast, Juanyeh Thomas, when he went on there, he spoke highly of Eric Scott, possibly being one of these guys who can be in the league for a long time. So it's like I said, for his name to still be ringing, through those halls, like I know he just got there last year, but Cowboys went out and drafted another fifth round pick, cornerback. Like granted, he was drafted in the sixth round, but essentially, a late fifth round pick. If the Cowboys are trading up, like it's I don't know, that puts maybe more of a chip on his shoulder, or like I said, this room just being so stacked, and then they go out and get another first round pick in Gary on Conley. And I know they're filling roster spots. I'm not saying they're looking to replace Scott or looking to bury him on the roster chart, but you have now a stacked room, so you're going to have to show improve even more. So it's just, I just think that, like I said, but I still think he has a great chance. I think if he just, some of the things he needs to work on, just kind of rewatching some of his work, preseason games, I think he just improve his run defense a little bit better, kind of improve his ball tracking, like in some of the plays, he would kind of lose his man a little bit, or kind of just lose sight of maybe where the ball is, or he may be thinking that it's a passing play, and it's a run play, or he may lose a containment, things like that. Just and it may take some of the guys longer to get adjusted to the speed in the NFL, because we know that it's different for some of these guys coming on. So I'm still looking forward to him. You know what I mean? Showing up, because we do have it may be a room full of guys, but if we're looking at the names, what I'm saying, these guys, not just him, all these guys have something to show. But with him having that time last year to be able to as I have lips to hear, being under this type of leadership, Dig wasn't there, but I'm sure he was rehabbing. But to be able to be in the same room as a Trayvon Diggs, Stephon Gilmore, and to also be able to see the development of Deron Bland and Jordan Lewis. These are veterans in that room, so him being amongst those guys as well, and then we have a former first round pick coming on. Hopefully his mental has been maybe the focus. Essentially had a red shirt year, so hopefully he was put more into the mental side of his game, and then hopefully this training camp, once again, he can show improve the physical part of it. Part up to the speed of the game, and then show what he can do. Coming up in these preseason games. Let me hop on this chat, because I see you guys coming in. Saying, hey, I want to make you guys know I see you guys coming, because I see my man Angry Cowboys fans angry Cowboys fan done slid in here, and me and you got up on West Coast show last week. And I gotta make sure. Please remind me before I get out of you guys to make sure I follow you. I think I followed you on Twitter. I'm not sure, but I gotta make sure I get up with you on YouTube because I definitely miss you, man. Because that was a rocking show. We definitely showed out on that show. Shout out to Big Time and shout out to West Coast for putting us on that show. Because we definitely rocked on that show. And thank you guys so much for being in the building. Like I said, Lamar being in the building. Keystone, my family in the building. You know, like I said, love, beauty, everybody just rocking with me. I really appreciate you guys. Let me see. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and keep going later. Like I said, you guys just hang in there with me and stick around. We're gonna be looking at some. I'm actually gonna be bringing up some of the preseason games from last season. Just taking a look at some of these guys on the list, and like I said, just taking a look at maybe what some of these guys can improve on, and also showing the positive things they did as well. You know, because there were, like I said, there were some good things he did. He had some good coverage in the Seattle game. Like I said, it wasn't fully great as far as run defense and things like that. But like I said, some things he can improve on. But like I said, definitely some positives. And like I said, hopefully we'll be able to improve that side when we have training camp coming here up in a few weeks. Let me see. League Commander says you have a Commanders fan that just came across you. What's up? What's up? Hey, look, hey, everyone's welcome. Like I said, as long as you guys come in here with great energy and you know what I'm saying, hey, you can pop up. Hey, maybe if there's some guys on your team that you're looking forward to. I don't know if I can talk about them, you know what I'm saying, with you, but if you want to put some guys you're looking forward to, or maybe you could put, what you look forward to, playing the Cowboys this season, or what you look forward to with Dan Quinn, being you guys' new head coach. You know what I'm saying, maybe we can put that in the chat and we can talk about that a little bit. But thank you so much for joining us. Welcome. I'm saying, like, make sure you converse with everybody in the chat. Go back, converse with me. You know what I mean? Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. Let me go ahead and move on to my next guy. Let's see who we got next, y'all. Oh, Turpin. I want to tell y'all something before we move forward. The reason I have this series right now, y'all, is because of Turpin right here. Because before John Stevens came in here, I'm gonna keep it real. Turpin was like one of my favorite players because he just shows so much. You know what I'm saying? There's so much spark. There's so much like energy. Like I said, just for me, he's just like a ball of energy, just waiting to just show. You know what I'm saying? To show some kind of spark on the field. You know what I mean? Like we've been wanting to see what this guy can not only add, to special teams, but for the last couple of years, what I mean, what he can show on the offense, and we have been screaming to see, Turpin's role just be, just kind of amped up on the offense, a lot, and hopefully we'll be able to see that when we see his role kind of progress year to year. Thanks to Mike McCarthy, I actually want to bring up a couple clips because, like I said, it was actually this show was actually going to be like a deep dive on Turpin and his background and how his role on this offense kind of evolved. But so we're not going to get too much on Turpin, but I do want to show you guys. I don't know if you guys, watch Cowboys Hour on Dallas Cowboys YouTube channel. And when Turpin came on, he did an interview when he first either first got signed or when during training camp or like during like the early weeks of the season, and they did interviews and things like that with him. Showing when he came on and how he worked out for the Cowboys, things like that, in his journey, pretty much like that. And I want to show you guys two of the interviews that he did, just to kind of show, really, just in my opinion, the evolution of just how far his role in the offense has come. And like I said, I think it's a big thanks to Mike McCarthy because, and not to even bring up old stuff, but we know Kellen wasn't trying to use Turpin like that. As you guys see here in 2022 when we first acquired him, as far as we saw what he did as far as special teams, but just speaking about his wide receiver role, what I mean, like 2022, 1 reception, 9 yards, 0 touchdowns, y'all. What I mean? It's just crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like we were screaming for Turpin to be involved, even just a little bit, what I mean, in the offense. But we know Kellen was all about his option routes, and I mean, Kellen wasn't even trying to really tell Dak, what I'm saying, or even let Dak in on his offense. So do you really think, I'm saying, he was really trying to use Turpin like that? So I just want to show you guys. Ooh, sorry about that audio. I want to show you guys real quick just a couple interviews that he did, and let me see. Actually, before we do that, let me see. Yeah, Lamar says, not gonna lie, if Turp becomes closer to Dak, that will help. Yeah, absolutely. And I think there was I think it was Patrick No T Walker who said that, and we're actually going to play that clip as well. I'm not even going to get too far ahead of myself, but I'm actually going to go over a clip that Patrick C Walker has said that he actually is building chemistry with Dak. You see, Lee Commander says, "How do you feel about Dak is on a prove it year, and so is Mike McCarthy." Lee Commander, I'll say that I think last year. Well, I don't know. I'll say this is kind of like the second. I'll say second year, second part of a proven year for Dak. But I mean, it seems like every year is a proven year for Dak. Honestly, I mean, we hear Cowboys Nation talk about that constantly about every year how we want to see Dak improve. And last year just being his best season when we saw him being runner up for MVP. I don't necessarily, for me, just speaking for me, I don't see it as a proven year for him, but I can see it, second year McCarthy's offense, just seeing how much further he can take his offense. I would just say for me, it's more of a, if you just build upon that, and the same thing for McCarthy too. If you guys just continue that connectivity, just continue to build on offense you did last year and continue to succeed. Now, it's one thing to plateau. You can't be the same as last year, but if you improve upon last year, I don't think there should be an approve it type spot. You know what I mean? Let me see. Yeah. Keystone says, yeah, Turk can be used in the backfield. See, Keystone says, lead. What's to prove for Mike with four straight? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what's to prove for Mike with four straight 12-5 seasons? I definitely agree. Yeah, and honestly, and Debo does so much for San Francisco. And I know Turpin isn't like the same size and build as Debo, but man, that guy, he can use his speed, and even we even saw when he does get a little bit beat up. We even saw last year he did miss. I think he missed the Panthers game. That's the only game he's missed. And of course, knock on wood. And even when he got kind of banged up in the Philly game, he came back like on the next series and scored a touchdown. So shout out to Turk for maintaining his health, but we do know his size can be a factor. So I mean, as far as using him exactly like Debo, of course not. But yeah, you like some of these trick plays or some of the plays out of the backfield, maybe on some of these slant routes. I mean, even his coach. If we just take a look just real quickly, if we just take a look at Turpin's numbers from his MVP year in the USFL: 540 yards, 44 receptions, 4 touchdowns. You know what I mean? Like we could use that last year, and just as a point, I have, and just as a disclaimer, guys, I'm not comparing Turpin and Brandon Cooks. I'm just looking at these numbers from last season and just seeing the impact that they had on our team. But if we look at Turpin's MVP numbers for the USFL, I know it's a different league. I'm just speaking, numbers don't lie, y'all. 540 yards, about give or take 100 yards less than what Cooks had last year. 44 receptions, 4 touchdowns. Now, of course, the 8 touchdowns are different because we know that, and of course, we know he had about 10 more receptions. But I was talking about this with my dad. Like if, and not saying we didn't need Cooks, because I will say the leg that he has is of course the experience in the league. 10 plus years in the league is nothing, nothing to overlook. But if we would have put the same use into Turpin, even back in 2022, like we had Noah Brown. You know what I'm saying? If we were a CD Lamb, Michael Gallup, I would take a CD Lamb, Michael Gallup, and a Turpin. And okay, Noah Brown, number 4 wide receiver. I'm not mad at that, but before having to go out and get a Brandon Cooks, you know what I mean? If you guys looking to save money, we already had a smaller stature guy on the team, so just looking at Turpin's style and how his USFL coach used him, and he was the MVP of the entire league, as far as wide in a wide receiver role. So it just baffles me that they never. I know it was Kellen, but like I said, shout out to Mike McCarthy for finally getting him involved. But I just think it's, it was just a travesty that they just never fully used him to the same, to that extent. You know what I mean? But let me go bring up these clips right quick, so that way I can move on. Hold up, right quick, you guys. All right, so yeah, so this is going to be the first interview that Turpin did, and shout out to Christy Scale, shout out to Brad Sham. They did the interview with Turpin, asking questions about his involvement on the offense, and of course, his previous history before coming to the league, playing in Poland, playing, kind of playing in the, of course, the spring league USFL, and how it was, how he had to teach when he did play overseas, having, teaching those guys about, American football, and having to take on the leadership role and be able to, for those guys to look to him, saying for him to teach them. So, he has that, experience in being, in a leadership type role, being a mentor to others. You know what I mean? So I don't think it would have been a stretch to ask him to be, wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 back in 2022 when he first arrived. I think he just could have had, a good impact on the team. But just in this particular clip, they're asking Turpin about if he's spoken to, of course, back then Kellen Moore, and whether or not, he could have a role in the offense. And I want you to listen to how he answers in this first interview, and then listen. They're going to ask him the same question when he comes back on a few months later, or the next year under McCarthy. So I just want you guys to just take a listen to his answer.
How about that? Okay. So the interesting thing is that
let me know if you guys can hear.
You're the MVP. You only had one punt return for a touchdown, right? Although you led the league.
Yeah.
You led the league. But it was as a receiver, really, that you made the biggest splash.
Mm-hmm.
So they've only given you a couple of spoonfuls of receiving so far. Are you are you in Kellen's ear, or what's going on?
Yeah, I'm in the RP ear. Tell him that I'm just that was my mindset going into USFL. Like, I knew everybody knew that I was a special teams guy and all this, but I went into the USFL like I got to prove everybody that I'm a receiver. Like, that's when I had to prove them on the NFL level.
So the offense that Riley ran, what kind of routes were you? I'm looking at your stats, and you had 540 receiving yards, 44 catches, 4 touchdowns. Is that a lot of screens? Is that a lot of stuff in the flat? How much of that is down the field?
Like, we ran like most of love was down the field. We only ran we didn't really run no screens really. It basically like route runners, like slants, outs, posts, seam balls. Like we did everything with Mike Riley. He had great film he had great film for me to show like that I was a receiver basically.
All right, so you heard. I mean, you guys. Hey, what's up, Star? What's good? How you doing, sis? Definitely happy to see you. What's going on, man? How you doing, sis? Very happy to see you. Yeah, you just heard Turpin say, like he said, even going to USFL, he was just trying to show these guys that he could be more than a special teams guy. It wasn't just about him, returning punts, returning kickoffs. He wanted to get the ball into his hands on the offense. I mean, like I said, MVP in the wide receiver role in the USFL. I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at. So, the Cowboys brought him on for a reason, right? So, like I said, I want to show you guys the second part of the interview, of the next interview, of when they asked him after having pretty much, during the off season, speaking with McCarthy, and what it would be like to have a different. I want to listen to you I want you guys to listen to how he answered it this time, as how he answered it with Kellen, because as you kind of hear when he asked about, are you in Kellen's ear? Are you talking to Kellen? He kind of changed the subject, right? He didn't really say, "Oh yeah, we talk about this, we talk about that, this, that, and the third." No, he kind of said, "Well, I've been trying to prove I was trying to be this, I was trying to be this." You know what I'm saying? He didn't really. I'm not gonna say he didn't answer the question, but he kind of changed the subject. So I want you guys to listen to how he answers this, and just kind of see the difference of how he answers it. 1 second. Let me bring up. Okay, here we go. Okay.
Pardon me, I'm just, I'm loving it right now.
So if you get to whisper in Mike McCarthy's ear to start an offensive series, do you want to, line up in the backfield and, get to carry the ball that way?
Yeah,
Would you rather do like a jet sweep, or you want a 9 route just to go?
I like to go. I'll try to score, I'm trying to get the ball and just 1-on-1 coverage, just they go past somebody and run right past them.
Well, it was interesting because Brian Schottenheimer, that's the Cowboys relationship that you have with your coaches. Bryan said that in terms of your preparation this year, that you have just taken it to a whole nother level. Now, I'm sure that part of that is the fact that you've had a full off season in training camp, because last year you came in halfway through camp and coming off a USFL season and playing for over a year without any kind of break. But can you talk about some of the growth that you've had in terms of preparation, and what is that like in a week heading into a game?
I'll just say, coming to this year, I was way more confident, when me and Mike talked at the end of the year. He told me, you're going to try to find ways to get me on the offense end. So, I went this offseason, just, trying to craft my receiver work. Then just coming in training camp, Mike told me it's going to be one of those years, So I just went in during training camp, just preparing myself, each and every day, just trying to be, just in case, I'm behind CD Lamb, just in case, he go down one guy, we stick and click, So that's what was my, my preparation going into this training camp, just trying to learn behind CD, just trying to be the same player he is, or, whenever he do go down.
When you learned from CD, what were some of the...
Yeah, so you guys heard the difference, right? Like I said, Christy Scale, shout out to Nicole Hutchinson. Of course, like I said, the Cowboys Hour, when they do these interviews, it's like I said, it's always great to get to know these players off the field and just kind of, like I said, get the background, where these guys, came from, how they got to the league, how they got to this position. And you kind of find out more than what you would maybe find out, like in the post-game interview. So like you just heard, he directly answered the question. Me and Mike McCarthy spoke. He said this year was going to be one of them years where he was going to get me involved. I'm saying? Like he said, he had a full offseason, because that could also be a difference too. He came the first year he came in, he came right in. He had no break. Just like Brandon Aubrey, where they both came in from the spring league, they had no break. Between that and the training camp. So that adjustment was different than the rest of you guys who had the break. Coming into training camp. So I'm sure that had to be a factor as well. But like Turpin just said, he's speaking directly with Mike McCarthy, saying that he was going to be involved in the offense. And even, to this day, we hear in OTAs, them constructing plays for Turpin. I'm saying him once again coming out of the backfield. And I'm saying him, being used on slants. And I'm saying him being involved in the offense, period. Him having like McCarthy mentioned last year, having a play sheet. What I mean? Like I'm not saying he has a whole entire play sheet just for Turpin, but just knowingly getting him involved, just knowingly getting a player who just has that much spark, who can bring just that much, just that much impact to the team. Like even just to, I don't want to just say he's a trick, a trick play guy. I don't want to say just for trick plays strictly, but even like he said on slants, 9 routes, inside slants, even going to the seam, Turpin isn't afraid to, to go in that middle and catch the ball, or some, every now and then take a hit, and that's what we want too. Like when he was first coming on, not saying he was nervous, but just antsy, trying to make a play with those the kickoff returns and the punt returns. We would see the fumbles every now and then. We would see, the drops, even last year. But and that could just be attributed to him just not getting his hands on the ball enough. So if we just get this guy involved more, there's really no telling. Like we spoke about earlier, him getting the chemistry with Dak, then that could really get things off the charts. As far as just upping the. You're saying just, we have a deep wide receiver room as it is, but just being able to, to just improve it in that manner. And like I said, even just having Turpin as a potential, 4 or 5 wide receiver, like I said, even just bring him every now and then just to make things different, just to bring his impact to the game. I think that could he could bring a big impact. I'm saying? Even just up his number just a little bit. So let me see. Like I said, thank you guys for being in the chat. I really appreciate you guys coming through. I really do. Thank you guys so much. And as you guys know, and I don't know if Star's still in the chat, but this is another one of my favorite guys who we were just completely just baffled as to why this guy was a healthy scratch down, really to the wire late in the season. We were looking for, run defense help. We were looking for guys who could play in the middle. If we're doing this at this point, if we're having DTs, if we're trying out defensive ends to play DT, then we should have just did this last year. If we're going to do this year, So why not get this guy involved? And of course, I have listed here the depth from last season. We have a lot of these guys who are, still here, but of course we know, we lost some guys as well. Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler. So that moves up, some of these guys. Of course, we know Micah Parsons is going to be, playing all over the field. So that still leaves, essentially, another spot for some of these guys to be able to step up, right? You know what I mean? So, and we talked about him the other night on our show, Star Chasers. Of course, 2023, a fourth round pick, Mountain West Conference, 2022 Defensive Player of the Year. And like Star mentioned, like it may be a smaller conference, but it's where you are. What are you putting your time into? What I'm saying, what are you proving into to be Defensive Player of the Year? Not everyone gets that. What I'm saying, obviously. So to be able to hold that accolade and to be able to, and we see he has a high motor. Even just last year in the preseason, like I said, I don't know if you guys go back. Make sure you guys go back and watch. Like I think it was just a Seattle game. I'm not sure if he played in the Raiders game as well, but I know he sat out of the Jags game. But seeing him being utilized in the Seattle game, going back and forth between three tech and left side, right side edge, just being moved around already. You know what I'm saying? And of course, that's just seeing what he can do, right? Seeing if he can adjust to the speed of the game. And we did see, like I said, what I want to see personally, just for him to improve on is just kind of getting off blocks at the line, kind of getting a better start off the line because like just me personally, I did see him a lot getting to the backfield. I mean, like Star mentioned on our show, having I believe it was 19 tackles for loss in a single year is crazy. So we know that he can get to the backfield. We know that he can put the pressure on that quarterback. And if you guys stick around, I will show some, just some examples towards the end of the show and if you guys just hanging there with me. But like I said, I think I have some great clips, just some examples of how I think these guys can. And I'm not a film analyzer or nothing like that. I don't break down film or nothing like that. I just want to I rewatch some of the games and I just want you guys to see just what I saw and what I think this guy can bring. Because like I said, I think I see the high motor in this guy. I see that he wants to adjust to the speed. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I just want him to get off some of these blocks and even having some impact in the preseason game. You know what I'm saying? I think he had a shoestring tackle on a running back and was able to stop a third down play. So just even having that much of a even yeah no I was just speaking I was speaking on last year. That's why it says 2023 because last year, that depth list was just so long. He wasn't able to see the field because of the depth we had last year. In my opinion, like I said, he was able to play in preseason, but of course, as we know, at Star, always says they had that wall there. They had these starters here where they're pretty much guaranteed a time on the field. Vice, you know, a junior for Hoko being a healthy scratch now, later in the season. So yeah, I agree with you, Love. I really hope we see more for Hope, and I think we are. I mean, we see the depth as it is. You know what I mean? Going into the season, we know it's already thin. So I don't want to say they don't have a choice, but unless they go out and just magically find, some DTs, 3, 4 DTs, I think we are going to see a good helping of Fahoko and a lot of these other guys as well. And as we heard, they have Nealon kind of stepping in, playing, three tech, defensive tackle position, just because their numbers are low, but. So I think it's a good chance we see, and of course Ghostin as well. If they bring back Ghostin, we saw that last season as well, in previous seasons where even in the preseason game last season, it was Golston and Fahoko, interchanging at that position in late in the game. So like I said, and also my last point here, he was also mentioned by Juanyeh in that same interview with Brock Hoffman as being, one of the guys who could be in the year, who could have a second year jump. He mentioned Fahoko, Eric Scott. He also mentioned Tyrus Wheat, and I believe he mentioned Marion Overshown. And of course, these are guys who we're all looking forward to, right? Because we didn't see a lot of these guys last year. And like I said, a lot of these guys on the list and a lot of guys that we're all looking forward to are guys who just may not have had a chance because we had, quote unquote, the wall. I just like that term that Star brings up because I just think that it's like the perfect term for for those starters who just seem to have that guaranteed spot, and just a lot of these rookies or even some of these undrafted who just didn't really have a chance to see the field are going to be more than welcome to find a spot for them. Find a spot on this team. If they take the opportunity, if they take the chance, if they do what they're supposed to do, and show and prove that they can learn the mental part, because we have Zimmer coming in, who's of course a new coach and all that, but not just because it's new, but just seeing how well these guys can absorb the information, during OTAs, during the rookie orientation and all that, and then how well they can implement it going into training camp. And then, of course, you guys know, as I mentioned before, my favorite, one of my favorite players, I will say, because Hunter Lippy is another one of my favorite players because, like I said, it kind of shows, when the Cowboys love a guy, they use the player a lot, and we haven't really seen the Cowboys use, not to go back, but I meant to mention this earlier, but we haven't seen the Cowboys use, that particular, the fullback position, and just number one. I mean, we saw McCarthy use it, in Green Bay, and just seeing him, have a guy that he can bring on, and he was undrafted, so McCarthy leaning towards an undrafted. Not saying it was just McCarthy, but him having plays written up for him in the preseason, just in my opinion, and I think McCarthy had a hand in it, and just seeing even in the Miami game, a big game like the Miami game, and you don't have your sixth round pick, but you got Hunter. Of course, he was out there, throwing blocks throughout the whole season, and we saw that, for ourselves. But you know, I just think it says something, just in my opinion, when have your undrafted rookie in there, vice your sixth round pick. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, this is my opinion. So I just think they trust him just a little bit more right now. But this is what kind of makes me love John Stevens too. Unfortunately, he was set back from his injury last season, but he was a wide receiver, transitioning to a tight end, and once again we saw a predetermined role in preseason last season, and I want to show his post game interview from the Seattle game, just to kind of, because he pretty much just came out and said it, like, about how the Cowboys plan to use him, with red zone, pass catching, what I'm saying, and and we, of course, we see the blocking, of course, that's in the tight end role in itself, but like I said, he mentions it in his interview, pretty much, right offhand. So I just want to play it right quick for you guys. So let me see, and of course, it's not really a long clip, but just makes let me know if you guys can hear it. Okay, let me see, guys, 1 second. Okay, let me get the audio, guys. 1 second.
Then play for the Dallas Cowboys, one of the biggest teams in America. It was a great feeling. Yeah, so I loved it. It was a great experience, every kid's dream, definitely. Then play for the Dallas Cowboys, one of the biggest teams in America. It was a great feeling.
Do you feel the difference in the red zone for yourself? I mean, the kind of target that you can be for a quarterback in the way that you were today?
Most definitely, I really do. Because, coaches got a game plan for me, and that's one of them.
What would you like to take away from this game that you feel will help you build?
Most definitely, I really do. Because, coaches got a game plan for me, and that's one of them.
Kind of target that you can be for a quarterback in the way that you were today?
Most definitely, I really do. Because, coaches got a game plan for me, and that's one of them.
What would you like to take away from this game that you feel will help you build going into Seattle for your second season?
The speed, to be honest. Me transition from different position, get my footwork and all that right.
Yeah, so you hear him mentioning, the Cowboys having that game plan for him being used in the red zone, and we saw, and they have the clip there at the bottom of the screen, also his touchdown from that, from later in the game, and then, and I'm sorry, in the Jags game, and then unfortunately the Seattle game is when he got injured, I believe mid game, and that was, like I said, I thought that was he. I didn't even know. I mean, we saw him kind of limp on that play, but seeing him not return to the game, and then of course just finding out about his injury was just really, like I said, it was a kind of a blow, for the team. Like I just think he really, I just really think he would have made an impact, right away. I mean, like I said, like he said, they had a plan drawn up for him, early on, and he was doing his thing. I'm saying, like you said, like he had great blocking. I think of course we're gonna see later with the clips from the Seattle game. Great blocking. He went out there with I think it was Schoonmaker to be able to open up a lane. I'm sorry, either Schoonmaker or Hunter Lippy to be able to open up a lane for Deuce Vaughn to be able to convert a first down. So it's just these guys, just show so much tenacity and willingness to be able to come out here and number one, do their job, learn their position, and then to be able to come out here and execute. so that the next man can succeed. It just in preseason. So it just shows just how much these guys are willing to learn. And I mean we hear that a lot. We've heard that a lot with this 2024 group coming in. Just how much they're willing to learn. Excuse me, you guys. And I just think that paired with the class from last year, who have been told by McCarthy essentially that you need to make a jump, that you need to step up your game going into this year. I just think that married with the um, I'm saying marry that with the class coming in this year. I just think that's going to make for a great team. I mean, we heard last year about the Cowboys being one of the youngest teams. I think top five, top seven youngest teams in the league, and that was when we had veterans. You know what I'm saying? And some of these guys have left over this past offseason. And in comes another class, another draft class, another UDFA class, and some guys from the UFL. So I wouldn't be surprised if now we would be even younger, even a more young team, or have even more youth than we did last year. You know what I mean? So I just think that, and like Star mentioned on our show, I think the Cowboys are going the way of youth. You know what I'm saying? We see the offensive line. You know what I'm saying? We see their moves in the draft. You know what I'm saying? We see how much they dip into the UDFA for a lot. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's going to be another factor that kind of, like I said, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a Super Bowl type, NFC Championship type year, but I just think the Cowboys can progress in a way. I don't know quite the word to put, on it, but I think they can progress in a way to, amongst, because they're just a very young team, and it takes time, for teams to develop, but if you develop these guys the right way, like that, their mantra has been draft and develop. But we've seen, the failures coming from that system. We've seen, guys being let go. Harper gone. You know what I'm saying Ridgeway gone. Guys that you've partly developed at least, and they end up on other teams. You know what I mean? So some of these guys, yeah, you do draft and develop, but then some guys, stay in this team for years and don't show much, like a Nashawn Wright. You know what I'm saying? Or like Izzy, who may be buried on the depth chart, but you don't know because they may not see the field. So it's just you hate to see these guys kind of stuck, in a room for years, but to not either have the chance to show anything, or they just don't show anything. They don't show any kind of development. So it's just like you got to start developing these guys the right way. So now we have a lot of these guys who are coming in at the same time. So they build that camaraderie, that personal camaraderie, and that just helps kind of elevate the team a little bit more because they want to be better for the next man. Let me see. Love says, I believe the front office is real high on him, so we would definitely see him. Yeah. If you're talking about John Stevens, yeah, I'm 100% with you. I really think they're high on him too. Like we've seen Stephen Jones show him love. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, with the play genre for him, I just think it's obvious that they love what he can bring. And even with span four, whether either one of them is going to be tied into it. That's kind of why I have two or three here because it depends on if what span four can do. I just think that either one of those guys on the field can really just be different for our offense, and I just think it can make our offense even more explosive. You know what I'm saying, with great blockers out there and just guys who can go out there and catch contested balls and and break tackles. At the same time while doing it. We have Ferguson who can go out there and is already dominant. You know what I mean? He can go out there and just show. He was getting in what's his name? And for Seattle, Adams, he was getting in his face. So if we have two or three tight ends who can break a tackle, who can be Travis Kelce-ish. That's not saying that they're playing on this level, but who can have that build and break, who can break tackles, who don't just. And it's no shot to Dalton Schultz, but I don't like to see a tight end who just catches the ball and goes down. Like I want to see a tight end who a big body guy who can. You know what I'm saying, fight, break through some of these, because these linebackers not playing, and we have the Ravens coming up, we have the 49ers coming up, so we're gonna need, and I know I talked about Turpin earlier. I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying Turpin is the answer. You know what I'm saying? I never said that. You got to keep it real. Like we need big body guys out here. So when maybe a body like Turpin or Cooks, may not work in a certain play call or something like that. We need a big body guy. We need maybe like a 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, You know what I mean? A big body guy who can go out there, go out there and pull the ball down. You know what I'm saying? A 6'8" tight end in our back pocket, y'all. I'm not mad at that. You know what I'm saying? And even John Stevens Jr. as I think 6'6". You know what I'm saying? I'm not mad at that either. So it's just, let's, why not? Why not? You guys, why not the Cowboys? You know what I'm saying? Why not, you know, have a crazy tall tight end? And I think I brought him up before on my tight end show. David Njoku, like, and he's not the biggest tight end, but he has that size. Mark Andrews, we look at him; he's a big, stocky tight end. Like, I just love big tight end, big body guy who can go out there and just, it's not just about, for me personally, is that not just always about the wide receiver. You know what I mean? Like, I like to see these tight ends go out here and get busy, you know, and just, like I said, and just be able to be able to see this physicality being brought to the Cowboys. Like I said, and even back watching Jason Witten, that was something I loved about him. I mean, a play that comes to mind is, I don't like I said, I don't know what game it was, but when Jason when he broke the tackle and kept running with no helmet, like, you want to see that, that intensity, you want to see that determination, like, I'm gonna make this play no matter what, you know what I mean? So I just like to just love that they're bringing that. I don't know if it's just McCarthy, solely McCarthy, or maybe he got Schottenheimer on board, or maybe it's just something that they've had insight on for past few years. They brought in Jake Ferguson, they brought in Hendershot. You know what I mean? Even Sean McKeon, he wasn't, a big, break and tackle kind of guy, but he was big and stocky, you know what I mean? So, and I wasn't mad at that. So I just, like I said, I'm just glad they're kind of bringing this physicality back to this particular position, as far as for the Cowboys. And I'm just excited to see just like I said, just the versatility, or even the variability of the Titans that they brought in, and just what they can bring. Keystone says, "Oh yeah, oh, it was the Eagles game. Okay, okay, yeah, yeah." And we all know we all know Cowboys play different against NFC rivals, and specifically the Eagles. So it's yeah, I want to see tight ends like that. I want to see play like that from our tight ends. You know what I mean? And just not to get too further before I get to my last slide. We've seen that with Jake Ferguson. You know what I mean? So I want to see more of that. Like, Ferguson got me pumped up last season, just seeing his, intensity, and, and all the fans, love him, so it's just, like I said, I think it would be great to see, a couple more tight ends, play like that. And, like I said, it's a ton of guys I'm looking forward to for this season, but I want to narrow it down to 5, but I had to have some honorable mentions, and because there's a lot of guys, in the linebacker room that I'm really looking forward to, because as we know, last couple of years we really have been lacking in linebacker play. So I wanted to mention the linebacker core just in general, and then of course Trayvon Diggs. He's on the thumbnail, and just really important to this team. We saw what it did to our guys, last year in week 3. And just how much it just took the air out of them, right? We hate to see that. We don't want to see our guys down, but we saw it take a lot out of them, not just for the game, but just emotionally as well. And Parsons, I think it was Parsons spoke for the locker room, saying that, hey man, we it took a lot out of us, and especially for it to happen in practice. You hate to see that, you know what I mean? So him being a leader, what I'm saying, and even now, like how you don't see a player, and since it happened so early in the season last year, so I'm almost like seeing Trayvon Diggs in the Cowboys uniform. It's almost like, wow, like it's been so long. So I'm just so excited to see him again. I was able to get some clips from him last season, and from training camp, with Gilmore there. But we only got to see a few weeks of unfortunately, of Gilmore, Bland, and Trayvon Diggs, and we even see. I think we even seen the impact they could have in the first week, right? In the Giants game, we saw Trayvon Diggs lay that crazy hit on Saquon Barkley, and then of course out pops the ball. And that's what Deron Bland's first pick 6 of the season, I believe. And I just think that just started like a whole ripple effect. We just saw, of course we saw Bland, break records, just had a crazy year for interceptions. But, it just would have been great to see those guys on the field, just, together. It's still a little bit longer, but like I said, so Diggs is definitely a guy I'm really looking forward to this season. And this, of course, just seeing how he looks, of course, post injury, seeing how he can come back, from ACL. And we mentioned it earlier about the deep cornerback room, and I think that's just giving Trayvon Diggs a little bit more time to get back, especially bringing a former first round pick in Conley. You know what I'm saying? Of course, not comparing the two. I'm just saying that just being able to shore up that position and just giving these guys enough, you know, I'll say like enough cushion just to, bring in enough guys just to see what they can bring, right? So hopefully, this can just mean that they don't have to rush Diggs back, and we can see how we look even to the bye week, and the bye week is pretty early, as far as season wise, but as far as adding on to the time that he can use to keep preparing to come back, if we don't see Diggs until after the bye week, I would be not disappointed, but I would be like sad as a fan because I really want to see him, just see him play again, but as far as his health and just making sure he's right to come back to play. Like if he had to keep him out till after bye week, and even the other, the other players who were out as well, Overshown, Stevens, like it's, we should absolutely not be in the business of rushing these guys back this season. So I just think that if they take the time, come back right, and then that they'll play right, and that's all we want, right? That's all we want for these guys coming back from injury. Anybody coming back from injury, the same. We just want them to be, who they were before. So like I said, very excited to see Diggs. And of course, like I mentioned earlier before, the linebacker core, Overshown, has been one of my favorite players. If you guys, see my intro to my show, he's the first guy that comes up on the screen. So, we see his work ethic, and Juanyeh mentioned it on this interview. That he just plays like, he plays out of his mind. If you guys go back and watch the Jags game, he had some big third down stops. Even the Seattle game unfortunately before he got injured, he was just playing like with a different motor. He was playing fast. You just see him trying, getting to the ball, trying to be at the end of every play, trying to be at the ball. Like he just plays with he just plays different. So like I said, he's gain muscle, gain mass. I'm saying, just to be able to play that position, come back. And like I said, other guys in the room as well. Kendricks, they say he's able to disrupt the play in OTAs before they went out for break, of course, but able to create an interception, I believe, with Dak. You know what I'm saying, and just bring in other talent as well. Harvey, Damian Wilson, just bringing in bets like that. Like I talked about with Star on our show. Like it makes a difference when you can bring a veteran in the room, and it's not having that veteran leadership these past few years after losing Sean Lee, but after losing LVE and early last season too. It's just the linebacker room just kind of fell apart from there. So they're just missing kind of that mental side part of it. You know what I mean? So, oh, thank you so much, Star. Appreciate you. I really appreciate you. I've been wanting to do the show for a long time, but as you know, I just always it's just me. I always get nervous before going on, so it just days go by and I'm like, man, he's in the show. I just get so nervous, coming on camera. But so I've been doing the show like all week. And I just really wanted to, bring the show to you guys because I really, these are guys I'm really looking forward to. You know what I mean? So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. But yeah, like we talked about on our show, like these are just really big factors. Like this may just be one room, what I'm saying, off the whole defense, but I just think the ripple effect can just. I just think Zimmer, and this is really going to come down like at the end of the countdown, so I don't want to get too far ahead, but I just think the influence of Zimmer on this defense is just that's going to be like, I think it's going to be the key to this season. Like, McCarthy is going to his second year play calling is, just going in play mode is no longer installed. The offense can pretty much, get along on their own. Like, they begin like their connection going. They just got to get the O line right. They got to get the right guys in the right position. But we have CD. We have our tight. The tight ends. We're going to bring in the running back room is still questionable, but the offense we can. They're going to do what they do. You know what I mean? But the defense is gonna be key. Like Zimmer, the coaches he's bringing in. I'm saying, and also how the players taking the information and how they implement it. It's just pretty much at all levels on the defense is really going to be important. And I just think like we talked about with the hiring of Paul Gunther and special teams as well. Like they're going to need those big bodies. You know what I'm saying? They're going to need. They're going to have 2 returners now, but I guess with the rule changes, it's gonna. I haven't done the full research on how the two differences between the kickoff returns are, but having to need those bigger bodies out there making those, and that's why they went out and got guys like Willie Harvey, and even just building up the room in general. I'm saying and they may even lean more towards keeping some more of these linebacker bodies, and they finally have them in the room, by maybe keeping a ton of receivers. You know what I'm saying? Like they maybe it may have done in previous years, or maybe keeping an extra safety or two. We might keep an extra linebacker or two. You know what I mean? So I think personnel is going to be different. You know what I'm saying? If roster cuts are going to be different. Like, I mean, as it is every year, tough decisions are going to have to be made. But I just think this year is going to be, I think we're going to see a little bit more, maybe a little bit more strategy. And of course, we see that with different coaches. You know, of course, it's up to the coach of how they decide to go into a season. But I just think, like, we know with the running back room, like they said, it's going to be week to week, right? It depends on who they play. But on the defensive side, like, you're going to need, you know, number one, going to need a scheme. How you going to the season, but you're going to need these bodies to be able to outlast the longevity of the season. So, you know, keeping some of the main guys on the 53, but also at the same time, you know, keeping, you know, some guys in the arsenal on the practice squad is going to be important as well. So, you know, I just think these roster cuts are really going to be tricky. You know what I'm saying, at the end of, before going into the season. I just think the way these, just speaking about Paul Gunther, like we've heard these players talk about, you know, stopping the run. I'm saying how can I put this? Let me stop. I just had the thought. Dang. I think the point I was trying to make is that it's not just Zimmer's effect, but also the effect of Paul Gunther, because just being that that's Zimmer's, you know, right hand man. I'm saying it's just that way Zimmer doesn't have to spend all his time with these individual players. Gunther is the one that has his hands on these players, and these players have mentioned him by name. It's like you know, shout out to all the players who have spotted this, because it's we're still even to this day asking who was Scott McCurley, you know what I mean? So it's just like, but I think it's a good thing is that he's still learning as well, and even him in his interview saying that, you know, if he's going to learn, he has to learn to be able to do his job, right? But, you know, you're going to be in the room with these guys, so you're going to have your hands on these players as well. So it's just about, I just think it's finally maybe going to click, you know, at the same time, not just for the players, but for maybe Scott McCurley as well. So that way he knows how to get, you know, the scheme across to the players. You know, and he's going to teach him to be a better coach as well. You know, he's going to see a guy who's had years in, you know, like Paul Gunther and Zimmer. And not saying DQ didn't have years in, but I just think it's going to be different. And I don't want to get too far into that, because that show is really, I was actually planning more on that show, you know, as far like the number one show than the show, but because I ain't gonna spoil it. Y'all gotta stay tuned for the whole series. But I just think from the top down, the effect of Zimmer is just really it's gonna seep into the coaches. It's gonna have an effect onto the coaches, the players. You know what I mean? And, you know, kind of spill to the offensive side too, because, you know, complimentary football, like McCarthy always talks about. So I just think that it's just I just think that's gonna be the key. But like, I just want to mention linebacker core. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to Overshown. We're looking forward to Kendrick's effect on this team and how he brings his leadership. I mean, he's he's bringing his knowledge, but at the same time, he even admitted that, hey, I'm still learning. I don't know everything, and I got to learn to be able to teach these guys. So it's just like I said, it's not even a slight against McCurley, you know, not maybe doing his job in previous years, or just speaking on last year, but it doesn't hurt to learn. You know what I'm saying, and if he can learn how to do his job better, that could translate to the linebackers as well. You know what I mean? So let me see. Yeah, man. I appreciate you. Malik says, yeah. Malik confirmed it. Yeah, I got to go back and watch that interview, but yeah, I think that was great. I think it's just in general. I think it's, like I said, I didn't watch the interview. I don't want to speak too much on Malik's interview because I didn't watch it in full. But I think it's good that these players are identifying that, number one, and not just players, but the coaches as well. That, number one, the systems are different, but that they're, number one, able to identify the difference between the two systems, and also to point out the pros in the new system vice the old system, and to not knock the old system. But at the same time, number one, to be able to acknowledge the difference, and to be able to, like I mentioned, absorb the information, and to be willing to absorb it. I mean, we kind of talked about that a little bit, like whether these players are going to be, you know, open to, number one, the new coach coming in, maybe possibly a tougher coach. I mean, we talked about that, but I'm sure all football players are used to a tougher coach. Like that wasn't the main point. It was about a new coach coming in, trying to be, you know, cracking down these players, making sure that they understand the concept of stopping the run, and really, bring a different system. But in my opinion, it just seems like they're trying to, I don't want to use the word cater, but they're it seems like they're just getting back to basics, and at the same time, just kind of leaning towards these players' strengths. Like we've heard this with, I believe, of course, we heard it with Mozzie, but I'm not sure if we heard it with Fahoko. But we talk about Zimmer bringing back these, bringing his system in, but just bringing back what these players, were doing in college. You know what I mean? What they were doing previously before they come in and maybe assigned to a different position, or playing something like I don't want to speak too much on Mozzie because I don't. It's not a knock towards him, but if you have a player doing something completely, even when Fahoko first came in, like we saw his. Well, I would have brought it up, but we talked about it on our show with just the other day about Fahoko coming in. Sharif Floyd spoke on it about him playing three tech, alongside of playing defensive end. But and he spoke about it on one of his interviews, like they're going to have me play three tech, alongside playing edge. Like, and he said it's different from college, but they want me to have versatility. They want me player flexibility. We talked about that with the O line. When we talk about that, and that's just in general. They want these guys to know how to do more than one position. You know what I mean? So, and that helps. Like McCarthy said, it helps that the guys can do more than one thing, especially when they're looking to fill these spots. You don't want to, like I mentioned earlier with Deuce and Hunter, you want to have two guys on your team. You're not saying to do the same thing, but you don't want to have two guys on your team who do the same thing. Even like I mentioned earlier with Turpin and Cooks, like both small stature guys, both essentially speed guys. You know what I mean? And now you're stuck. I don't want to use the word stuck, but now you're sitting here stuck trying to figure out how to get these guys both into the offense. Last year we talked about getting Cooks involved. Up to week 5 and 6, 2-3 years later we're talking about trying to get Turpin involved. Now we're talking about trying to get Deuce Vaughn involved. It's just like you kind of bring you ca- and I'm not saying all three of these guys are the same player, but when you bring in three small stature guys, I mean, you're kind of limited. So, and that takes up 3 roster spots. I mean, let's just keep it real. You know what I mean? So, some of these guys may be left, at the end of training camp, either way on a spot because they may be similar to another guy who just may bring more to the game. So, that's why we talk about competition, right? That's why we talk about what can you bring that's different. That's why some of my favorite. That's why some of my favorite players are John Stevens or even Hunter Lippy because they bring something different that maybe we haven't had before or something that maybe excites the Cowboys a little bit more. You know what I mean? So I just think, like I said, I just think it's really dependent on what can you bring that's different to this team. So guys, I really appreciate you guys sitting through my slides. I'm gonna get to this. I'm bringing the Seattle game right quick. Just like I said, just to show you guys a few examples of how they used this last season for Hoko, junior for Hoko, and just a little. Let me see. I think I have for Hoko and Eric Scott. Just a couple of clips of how this how they did in the preseason last year. And I really want, like I said, I really actually just really want to show you guys for Hoko's just a little, just because I just love this guy's motor. And then we're gonna get out of here. And let me bring up, if you guys still, everybody that's still hanging with me and still in the chat, everybody still watching, thank you guys so much for hanging in there with me. I didn't really have a time constraint on this show. I just knew I really wanted to rock this show today. And like I said, I'm on vacation, so I'm chilling. It's a Sunday evening, still kind of early. So I hope you guys are still out there kind of chilling with me. And like I said, I really appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. And we're actually just about, like I said, just about done. I want to bring up the Seattle game, and like I said, I'm not no, I ain't no, I don't break down film or nothing like that. I want to just run back a few clips that I noticed after, like I said, after rewatching the game, and just like I said, what some of these players can kind of improve on, but at the same time, what they did well. You know what I'm saying? Coming in. All right, so I got it up, and actually, this is yes, yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly show. My first clip is going to be of Eric Scott. I talked about him kind of early on, so I'm gonna just I have a couple clips for him, and then we're gonna get to Fahoko. So let me get out of here. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Marcus. I appreciate that. I really, really do. Like I said, I appreciate everybody in the building. Like this got to be like. Thank you, Keystone. I appreciate it. Thank y'all so much. Let me see. Let me share a screen. Okay, I got it. Okay. All right. Let me not. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and start. Let me know if you guys can see. And I'm gonna go ahead and just go to my first spot, so we can just go ahead and keep rolling. This is a Seattle game. I was gonna bring up the Jags game, for the sake of Eric Scott's argument, but I just brought the Seattle game just because it just has more of the clips I want to show you guys. So instead of going through two games, I'm gonna show you. We just gonna rock with the Seattle game. So I'm gonna just let me see, bring up this first clip. Okay, so so you have it on the screen. All right, bet. Thank you so much, Love Beauty. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, bet. Okay, so it looks like it's up on the screen. Like I said, let me know if you guys can see. Okay, as you guys can see, Eric Scott is down here at the bottom, right here, working this guy. Let me make it full screen. I'm tripping. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right, yeah, so he's going to be down here. And I brought this play up because he actually did really well. This is, in my opinion, one of his best plays from the Seattle game. And like I mentioned, guys, make sure you guys go back. I mean, you don't have to, of course, but if you guys just go back and watch the Jazz game. And I just rewatched these preseason games because, of course, this is just the only footage we have of some of these guys in a Cowboys uniform. Unfortunately, like guys like Fehoko, Eric Scott, and Don Stevens, of course, before he went out. So it's just, like I said, I just for this particular year, I think it's important just to see what some of these guys, did with the speed of the game. Because, like I said, of course we all know it's different from college, and just it's just some things that these guys can just kind of build off of. And I think that he can just some of the good plays he made, and just being in that room, being amongst guys, Diggs coming back, but just being around guys like Jordan Lewis, Deron Bland, they can, kind of teach them things. And even if they decide to go out, I don't think they will, but if they do, it might be late in the season. But maybe hopefully when he was around Gilmore, hopefully he picked up this, some things, just being in that room, just picked up maybe some of the things that, Gilmore was putting down, you know what I mean? Hey, what's up, Jameson? How you doing, fam? Good to see you, hon. But yeah, so yeah, Eric Scott's gonna be down here at the bottom, and it's gonna of course play from the two angles up top, and then the O line view. But I just think he shows us how he can be sticky in coverage. He stays on this guy. He's able to get his arm. Of course, in breaking up the pass. But this is what we talk about with Kalen Carson, right? And I will say that that's one thing that I will say. One thing Eric Scott maybe does have to worry about is Kalen Carson. I think I think not saying they're fast tracking him, but we see his talent. We see his speed, and just he ain't scared to take give a hit, to take a hit. What I mean, step up and battle it out with the wide receiver. And shout out to Law Nation. We saw that he's working on his press speed. Working on his pressing wide receivers. So it's he's not sleeping either. And I kind of said this in one of our shows earlier that I think he's just going to be one of those guys who just kind of lets his play do the talking. We kind of say this about Bland, right? Like Bland is kind of soft spoken. Doesn't really talk a lot, and not saying he has like an intensity about him or attitude about him, but he doesn't really say a lot. His answers are short and sweet. But his play, he shows a lot through his play, right? And I think that's going to be the same case with Kalen Carson. Because just watching some of his interview, just watching a little bit of him, his answers are short and sweet. He doesn't really do a lot of talking. I just think he's going to be one of those guys who just kind of lets his play, show on the field. So if anything, like I say, I will say that Eric Scott may have to, look over his shoulder for Kalen Carson, but I still think that Eric Scott still has a viable chance because they did move up to get him, but he's shown and it's still showing. Like I said, just as recent at OTAs just a couple weeks ago. I think Broaddus mentioned that he was able to get an interception off Trey Lance. So it's up to him. It's up to him to show improve and to still rock out in camp and come out this time in preseason and show that he's able to step up in this position because with the lack of real good guys in that room, I just think he has a great chance. So yeah, see, he stays with this guy, and really almost if Juanyeh was there, as you guys see, Juanyeh is right there and could possibly make a play off of that. But like you see, he's right there with his guy. Doesn't get the penalty. Doesn't have a penalty. Nothing like that. Just sticky in coverage. Able to get his hand in there and just able to. And I'm sure he's making play like that in camp. But it just like I said, it seemed like later on in the game, like he was kind of losing track of the ball. Like I said, his run defense was just a little bit off. Kind of losing containment with some plays here and there. But I think it's plays like that, and if he continues to stack plays like that, I think that will really help his case. And I think that he'll really can really go far. Because like I said, with the depth, if you're having to still stack in this cornerback room, after still having guys like Izzy and Nashawn, right? I just think that shows how much of a chance Eric Scott has. Let's see, Brad ASG Cowboys. Here we go. What's up, fam? I think it's the first time I've seen you in here. He says, I'm wanting to see the John Lovett running back play. I say Zeke Hunter, Dowdle, put Nate Pete practice and Deuce Vaughn on practice squad. Yeah, I'm with you, fam. Honestly, I feel you on Lovett. I want to see any running back they bring in here at any point, just to be honest with you. But I'm still looking to see Nate Pete. They're saying that he could be, a speed guy. You know what I'm saying, if we put him in some space. But there's a lot of guys in this room that that could really show something. So it's just a matter of what these guys can bring in training camp. And I think these battles are gonna be crazy. Like they're just bringing so. I think they're just bringing for each individual room. I'll say I think they're bringing in just a good wide range of guys, right? And we see the running back room, we see thumpers, but we also have guys like Deuce Vaughn, AP, even Snoop Connor. He didn't have a lot of play in the NFL. He was actually in the Jags game from last year in preseason. I don't know if you guys go back and rewatch that. He was on the Jags side, playing for them, but mostly on the practice squad. But yeah, so we have variety in each room, even in the wide receiver room. We have variety. After CD Lamb. Is after a Brandon Cooks, we're looking at a variety of guys, once again. So I just think that it's going to be up to these guys, to bring something different to that position. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of guys that I want to see out, and I'm glad, and I'm really glad they tried out another running back because, hell, we have a stacked room as it is, but like I mentioned with the cornerback room, it's just, no disrespect. It's no slight. It's just like names you're looking at right now, but it's just like who can really, show up for this room right now. We're still looking for, and they're going by committee, so they're not looking for a starter. I'll take that back, but I think us as fans, and I'll speak for me. I think me as a fan, I'm still looking for that guy who can step up and be that starter because I love Zeke, I love Rico, but like these are, I wanted them to draft a starter in the draft, but it's not a bad thing that we had Deuce, but it just seemed like the guys that they're picking up. I don't know. It's just I question sometimes the moves they make because it's like you draft Deuce, but now you're here a year later trying to get him in the wide receiver role. It's just like, man, like come on. You know how many running backs there were that went, and not even in. Even you could say last year's draft, this year's draft, it's just like, come on, bro. It's like, and I love Deuce, you know what I mean? But, so it's just a matter of them finding a role for him. And really, just to keep it all the way real with you guys, I'm looking forward to Rico. Rico's another guy I'm looking forward to. It's just a matter if he can stay healthy. It's a matter, and because Star, we talked about this on our show almost all last year. Like we want to see more reps from Rico. You know what I'm saying? We saw Tony Pollard because they were trying to force him, but Rico, we saw him on screens. We saw him, I think he either got a touchdown or almost got a touchdown off a screen. You know what I'm saying? And even like I said, if you guys go back and watch the preseason game, we saw essentially what it could look like, with Rico as the starting running back because he was getting the start in those preseason games. So and he was moving, y'all. He was out there moving and shaking. And granted, he did have that fumble, at the 1 yard line, and that sucks. That sucks too. I'm saying, even from a running back, you don't want to see that, but he was getting decent yards, getting decent games in preseason just last year. So I think we've seen kind of what it could look like with Rico, starting off. So I'm excited to see that, excited to see what they could bring. But But I'm sorry, y'all. Look, I just like talking Cowboys now. I'm getting in the groove now, y'all. I done went back to the running backs. What's up, Steven? How you doing, man? What's up? What's up? Definitely happy you guys are in the building. What's up, y'all? Freight train as well. I really appreciate you, y'all. Appreciate y'all. But yeah, that was the clip I wanted to show of Eric Scott. We're gonna have moving along, and like I said, I wanted to show um, some clips of Fehoko because, like I said, they got him involved a little early in the game on the defensive side, and let me see. Okay, 20. Let me get back to over here right quick. All right, so like I said, next we have Fehoko. Let me find the timestamp. 22. All right, guys. This is going to be. All right, y'all. So if you guys can see, let me know if you guys can see. As we have Fehoko right up here playing left end. And pretty much this whole drive, I don't want to play the whole drive, but this is kind of like where it starts, and he's here towards the beginning of the game, like I say, like second quarter, and then he kind of comes out a little bit, and then he kind of gets back involved, late third quarter, and they kind of get involved mid fourth quarter. He wasn't in on every. I'll say he was, of course, obviously he wasn't in on every drive of this game, but he definitely got a lot more play, in this game right here. And I just want to show just a few examples of how, in some instances, I would love for him to get off tackle just a little bit more, and kind of get his power up a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like instead of having the guy beat him at the line, or instead of the guy putting his weight on him, like I like to see him, like I said, get off tackles, kind of put his weight on the other guy, kind of push the other guy off. Because like I said, he's getting to the backfield, he's getting either to the running back at sometimes, or in the same area, or he's getting to the quarterback, and and I want to see him finishing plays as well. You know what I'm saying? And that's all a part of getting used to the speed of NFL, getting used to the game, things like that. But yeah, I just want to show just a few clips, and yeah, here we go, y'all. You see here, yeah, he's with with the guy, but just a long time, like at the line, like fighting with the guy. You know what I mean? Yeah, and then here we see it. Yeah, here we see it from a different angle. And that is what I liked about this game, the Seattle game, where we do see different. We do see him do a different thing. We see him, standing up. We do see him, with his hands in the ground. So it's good to see him. We see him outside. We see him on inside, on both sides. So it's just good to see that they, even this early, and even there, we see it there, he got tripped up a little bit. But seeing this early, just seeing that they want to see just what kind of versatility he may have at the line. Like I mentioned earlier, you see Ghostin here too. So they have and that's one thing I will say. Hopefully, maybe going into this season, maybe him and Golston have kind of maybe built up a rapport because they played next to each other a lot. You see right here, and this actually, I don't know if you're still in the chat, Star, but this is actually what I mentioned on our show the other day about he had two back-to-back plays where he had an impact where on one able to kind of get like essentially like a shoestring tackle on the running back, and then I think it was Golston or somebody at the next level was able to stop the running back, and then on the next drive he was able to get to the backfield, to the quarterback. So yeah, I think these two plays right here coming up back to back, I want you guys to pay just a little extra attention to. Here we see right here. I'm gonna go back one more time, you guys, in there. That way you guys can see. It's gonna be the next one. All right, Jamie said, thanks for joining us. I appreciate you, fam. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Have a good night, hon. Yeah, as you guys can see right there. And then Ghostin came right behind him. We'll see from the next angle. Yeah, see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You guys see how he was able to push off and then able to get off the tackle and get at the running back. Because he had actually been fighting that tight end, number 84 on Seattle. He was going up against him that whole drive, honestly. So and that's what I'm talking about. Like just being able to. This is the next play. This is where you see it's like right here, even if like this, let's just say, of course, the quarterback was able to get the ball out, but even just having the quarterback hold the ball a second longer, that could either been a sack, a hurry, you know what I mean, a pressure, because he's right there in his face. I just think that, like I said, just him showing. I mean, we saw his stats, and then right here, that's when they take him out, and then they have Golston at the goal line, but they scored. So I'm gonna go to the next clip. And this is where I think Seattle's next drive. Let me see. And this is actually I think one of his kind of best, not series, but kind of back to back plays a little bit. Let me get to it because where he actually showed getting to the quarterback. All right, so this is where Seattle just getting the ball. We just kicked it off to them. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Let me go back. Fajoko's going to be up here on left end. And this time, instead of going up against the tight end, as you guys see, he's going up against the tackle here. As you guys see, he's right there in the area. And if you guys leave it closer, you can see him shaking his head. Because I mean, I don't know. Of course, I don't know what he's thinking, but I think he's thinking like, man, like I'm right there. Like, I had this guy. Like I could have had this guy. You see him shake his head because he's right there in the area of the running back. It's it's just about a game of inches, like they say. Even just a little move you make, just that little shake can kind of get you. And this is just the next play, back to back. Once again, just stand with it. But once again, just kind of gets caught up in the gets caught up in the scrum a little bit. Couldn't get off the tackle. But you see right there, he kind of shifted, so you can see him kind of getting comfortable in his position. You know what I mean? So the next play, and you see this is what I'm talking about. See how the guy is just kind of putting his weight on him. I just want to I want him to start, I want to shift his weight just a little bit better, shift his weight on the guy. So that way he's kind of pushing him off. Now, granted, he's not stopping that play, of course, but just a little bit, it's a different technique. It's going to be the last of this series right here that I'm going to show you for, at least from Fajoko anyway. And you see right there, you spin to get off the tackle. I just think, just in my opinion, I just think for him, it's just going to be about, just kind of stand out. And of course, you guys see they're starting to punt here. So, obviously they made a stop. But it's just about him kind of honing in on his technique. I think I just think he can really make a difference. Like I said, just interchanging with Golston and, kind of playing both sides, getting the feel how to play how it is to play both sides. Now you have Nealon coming in. I believe he's going to be, playing left D end. So now that you know if Fajoko can possibly go to the other side or play just to the inside of Nealon, if needed, so it's just having. I know we lost some guys at that position. Of course, Dorrance and Dante are gone, but having these younger guys come in and they're having this time in the off season to, number one, to be able to gel together, and number two, to be able to to get and even Golston as well. Like I mentioned earlier, like these young guys, and Golston never had a I'll say he never had a I don't know I don't want to use the word permanent, but they used him, but going back and forth between edge and three tech as well. So just a lot of these guys going back and forth between these positions. Hopefully they'll be able to to hone into which position they can play the best. So that way, I mean, even if we don't get, I mean, they say we're going to get a defensive tackle, but just depending how we go into camp, these guys can just get the chemistry down a little bit more and just kind of get their positions down. I'm just go to let me go to this final. I think I had one last clip of Hope for 1 second. Yeah, this is where we have Focal playing right edge. As the whole, and of course Golston down here, like I was mentioning, they're playing both sides. So now they kind of switched them here, and I think this in this late part of the game, I think Fehoko was just kind of in the rotation between him and Isaiah Land at the time. Before we lost him to another team. So it's just like I said, it's just good to see these guys, going back and forth, seeing, playing at different positions, so that way they be, open and just a little bit more flexible, to what we need. Like I said, you see, getting off the tackle, and he's even still staying with it, still staying with the play. And you see here, he kind of runs into Bell at the same time, but just his hustle, just him staying with the play, even getting tripped up. And he has the size too. I mean, we see, even bigger than Golston. I mean, and I don't know as far as compared to Marshawn Nealon, but we see he has the size. I think he's out. I think he's out of the rotation there. But yeah, like I was saying, he's just pretty much in the rotation. But that's what we're looking for. We're not looking for, we already have D-Law, we have Micah Parsons. You know what I mean? Playing opposite sides. So we're not looking for, create, starter guy, to be out there and replace these guys. We're looking for guys, in the rotation. You know what I mean? And these guys, we brought in guys who play with attitude, who play with a certain amount of violence. You know what I mean? And to be able to have that up front, and we're building that, at the second level as well with these linebackers. But like I said, just looking more and more, John Stevens, would probably be my favorite on offense, but looking at some of these guys on the defense, like I just really want to see Fehoko and what he could possibly offer, because it just looks like, he really just shows that he has the willingness just to drive. Even here, hands on the ground right here, once again playing right in. And even right here, you see him get the tackle. Once again, he does get caught up with his teammates, but he makes the tackle. He's right there at the play. Now, granted, the running back is coming towards him, but he's there, right? He's part of making the stop. And he's able to put, like I said, push the guy off, get off his block. And that's what it's about. It's about exactly. And like I said, just like I said, for me personally, for me with Fehoko, it's about him finishing plays. It's about him, like I said, just getting. Yeah, exactly, Stephen. Why you took the as far as overall, you took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, we're depending on all the young talent to shine. Exactly. You mentioned that earlier in the show. McCarthy told these, and I'm actually going to play a clip. I don't know if it's included in the clip, but when Juanyeh Thomas speaks about McCarthy telling his, actually it wasn't Juanyeh, it was Brock Hoffman who said that, McCarthy let us know, like, it's our year to step up. Guys who played in 2023, not just the 2023 draft class, but the UDFAs as well, and the guys who were able to maintain a roster spot. It's about these guys stepping up into these positions and just being ready to go. Actually, matter of fact, let me see. That was actually the last clip. So yeah, we can actually get to that clip by Juanyeh. Let me see. That actually is actually will be the closing clip. Let me see. Let me yeah Let me play this clip by Juanyeh, and then because he talks about Eric Scott. Like I mentioned, he talks about Eric Scott, Junior Fehoko, and Tyrus Wheat. So let me see. Yeah, let me see if I. That's Turpin. Okay, yeah. Okay. All right, so let me share this. Okay. Here we go. All right. Let me know. Look, it's up there, so let me know if you guys can see it. I'm sure you guys can see it. Make sure you guys can hear it as well. And like I said, I'm just gonna play this clip. Brock Hoffman asks Juanyeh about just to name some guys who he thinks can make a good second year jump. Guys who are on the roster and can make a second year jump. Let me skip to it. Let me see. All right, here we go.
Again, we're still staying on like this OTA topic. So you were a guy that was a young guy, made big strides, had a big year in year two. What are some other guys that you think going into year two, going into year three that have made some big improvements this offseason to OTAs on the defensive side of the ball?
I would really honestly say Junior for Hoko. Let's see.
Okay.
Honestly, him, Demo, obviously.
Yeah.
Kiwi.
Yep.
Let's see. Yeah, those three right there are three guys that I think.
And he said T Wheat, as in Tyrus Wheat was the last guy he mentioned. In the guys he mentioned having a second year lead.
Let's see. Yeah, those three right there are three guys that I think that is going to be in this league for a very, very long time for real, bro. And then Eric Scott,
yeah,
other corner. Eric, man, a lot of people don't know, but Eric can play, bro. Eric can ball out, bro, for real. So those really four guys I'm really excited about because they're all honed in and tuned in to the new things we're running, and I think this defense can fit them very well. So
yeah.
And I just like I said, I think it's interesting because Juanyeh, it's not like he gave Juanyeh a list of names and said, who do you think? I just list who do you think is gonna make a big jump. He named these guys off the top of his head, like off guys that he in his opinion, guys who are gonna make a second year jump. So he volunteered these names. So yeah, they hear Fahoko mentioned, and these are guys who you don't see getting that that much attention. When with the media, what I mean. We see the attention circulating, the 2024 class and things like that. But even last year, we didn't see a lot of Fahoko. We didn't see a lot of Eric Scott. In Tyrus Wheat, and of course, Demo going down with injury. So it's just like, number one, I'm glad he mentioned these names because, like I said, we don't hear a lot from these guys, and it's just like, wow, like these are guys who are going to make second year jumps, and we're not hearing more from the media about them. So it's just hopefully we'll hear, shout out to the beat writers out there. Hopefully they can get a little bit more in depth. Hopefully we'll see more of these guys, like I said, in camp. I'm definitely looking forward to like I said, seeing some of these guys. And even Tyrus Wheat, I think me and Star mentioned him on our show just slightly. Him last year being, I think, having some hybrid, defensive end slash linebacker duties. So just, I think, of course, now he's gonna. I think he's gonna be defensive end. I believe. I think he's gonna be thrown somewhere in that rotation. I would think. I'm assuming. So it's just like I said, just the depth they have in that room. And I don't even think we talked about him the other day on our show, Star. I'm not sure, but yeah. So just like I said, hearing those names and just hearing, we know Juanyeh. He speaks with no filter. He tells it like it is. So for him to give these guys that kind of shout out, that kind of recognition, it makes me even more excited. To see because we need help at those positions.
Yeah, no, I think Demo coming off his knee injury, like I know he looks a lot bigger. I know he's kind of put on some weight in like a good way. So I'm excited to get him back on the field for us because that dude can freaking fly, bro. Like he can fly. And then I honestly think Junior will be better in this system because like he's a bigger like body DN. So I think he will be better there. And no, dude, I like.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier about it could not always the coach's fault, but it could just depend on the system that the player is in. So for Brock Hoffman to recognize that Foco could possibly be better in this system, and maybe like another player like Mozzie could be better in this system as well. Just if they're catering to what these guys are good at, wouldn't it be common sense to think that this defense would be better, even though you're getting a newer coach, you're having to establish newer chemistry, you're getting newer players in, but if you're catering to what they do best, I think it's okay to assume that the defense should still continue to get better.
Like Eric, bro. I think he actually does have some really good ability. Like, I think he can really play. He's just like never kind of got the chance to. So I think those guys that you mentioned are definitely gonna take big steps for us this year, because McCarthy's hit on it all offseason. Like, our group and the group behind us, like we gotta make big jumps, because we're a majority of the team. Like we have a lot of young players, so we gotta step up and make them plays, bro.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the end of this clip right here, guys. But yeah, that was just, and just as a side note, honestly, y'all, like Juanyeh actually was going to be another one of my honorable mentions, honestly, because Juanyeh, even the last couple of years, like he came in, was on practice squad his rookie year, and you guys, make sure you guys check out my description. Everything I've shared with you guys today, everything is in all the links, all the articles, things like that, the John Stevens, the KaVontae Turpin interviews, all that is in the description. Make sure you guys check out some of these interviews, because, like I said, it's a lot of things that you wouldn't really learn, like in some of these player interviews during the season. Sorry, y'all, it's my dog. But yeah, make sure you guys go back and watch the Rock Hoffman interview with Juanyeh Thomas. But he speaks a lot about his background, how he came up. And Hoffman too as well. They both spoke about how they didn't necessarily have a chance. Hoffman said they feel like he got a fair shake when he was with the Cleveland Browns. But it's about getting that second chance. Like guys he picked up in the UFL, they're getting a second chance, a third chance. Guys like Turpin. So it's about what these guys are willing to do with these chances that they're presented with. So yeah, like I said, everything's in the description. Make sure you guys check that out. But yeah, so like I said, Juanyeh was going to be like another one of my honorable mentions, but I just couldn't do a whole show on everybody on the team. You know what I mean? But he had a great camp. Even last year, like I don't know if it was going to be like a whole like serious thing, but even last year, seeing him stay after practices, even he was fielding. I believe he was fielding for just a little bit of time. He was fielding kickoff returns. You know what I mean? Or punt returns, things like that. So just seeing how much, I'm sure he was doing it to kind of fill in, when Deuce wasn't doing it, or even, Malik, when they didn't have Malik Davis doing it, or, other guy, I think they had Tyron Billy Johnson doing it as well. So I'm sure he was thrown in the mix, but just, just seeing kind of just, his, not just his playing ability, but his personality. He, like I said, he speaks with no filter. He tells it like it is. If you guys follow him on Twitter, he has no problems, conversing with, Cowboys fans, you know what I mean? And, but on the field, he just shows his ability. Like me and Star talked about, had crazy plays starting off the season last year, and even in preseason, had two big plays against the Jaguars. An interception to start off, the drive. So he plays with just a different tenacity. He plays with energy. He be locking dudes down too. You know what I mean? He's not afraid to go out there and make a tackle. He be going out there talking his stuff too. We got to kind of refrain from no penalties and nothing like that. But we see he talks his game, but he's also not afraid to go out there and show it too. So like I said, a lot of these guys, like we've been talking about, they have a lot of opportunity to stand up this year and show what they can do. And I just think that it's going to be vital, that these guys do it, because like I said, it's not just about the chemistry, but if these guys can all get on the same page, communicate with each other, the coaches as well communicate, what message they want to get to these players, and they come out and execute. Like I just think it could have not just a impact on the team and how they have success on the field and all that stuff, but I just think that it could grow the locker room even more. Like I just think that on a kind of a personal level, because you guys, they all hang out together. They, they're friends with each other. Most of the guys in the room, and if you guys, read articles here and there, like I mentioned on the show the other night, with John Stevens, David Durden, and Overshawn, they became close because through an injury. Some of these guys become, and they even said, and not even just because of the injury led to them being close. I think there was a spot in the article where they said, one of them had a dead battery in the parking lot. So since they had each other's number. They were able to call them up and able to get help from now their friend who they may not have been close with. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, and now they're going to be, overshown, and John Stevens are now going to be, best men in David Durden's wedding. You know what I mean? So that it creates friendships. It creates, a brotherhood amongst these guys who may not have been close otherwise. You know what I mean? So, and when you create that personal chemistry, that you can only build upon that on the field. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Let me see. I think that may have been all I have for you guys today. I think we made it to the end, y'all. Like, I think I want to save, I had a little bit more on the linebackers, but I really just want to save that, honestly, for my Zimmer show, towards the end of the countdown, because that's more defensive. And I think that goes towards more that show down the line. I don't want to get, too deep into it. So, and we're actually almost at the 2 hour mark. So, and like I said, I really didn't have no kind of timestamp on the show, y'all. Everybody that's in the chat right now, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm looking to the camera. Thank you, thank you. I love y'all. Thank y'all for hanging with me this whole time. I don't think I've ever done a 2 hour show ever since I even became a content creator, but hey, F it. I'm gonna do a 2 hour show for my second year going into into content creating like this. I think I started about this time last year, so this honestly, it's my anniversary and going to my second year. So I appreciate everybody hanging in there with me. I thank you guys. I really think I had a good show, and I hope that the rest of this series is like this, because I really did. And thank you, Star. Thank you, Loves Beauty. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for everybody who recognized, my show today, and who actually been here, because, like I said, rocking me through the whole show, because I really did put a lot into the show. And, I really, I really think I did, a good job, and I really appreciate you guys hanging there with me, because like I said, I love connecting with you guys. It's kind of like my outlet, when things are, tough, or like I said, if you guys are rocking me, this, first half of the year has been rough. So this has kind of been like my way to kind of like get things out and talk and things. So I really appreciate everybody. Yeah, Jamie, so I can go another 8 hours. I appreciate you, fam. Thank you so much. I ain't got another 8 hours, you know what I'm saying? But actually I do, but you got to stay tuned for the rest of the series, you know what I mean? And I really think, I think this series is going to be really good. Like I said, next week, I don't know exactly what it's going to be. I haven't, narrowed down to what I want each number to be. But, like I said, maybe like 4 position groups, 3 coaches who should do this, 2 guys who are the most important, And of course, I'm going to go ahead, because I'm just so excited for my final show already. I haven't even gotten there yet. But like I said, I think the key to this year's success is going to be Zimmer's impact, not just on the defense, but on the team, because it is about complementary football. But I think, I think, like I said, we can still have a successful year. It's like I said, for me, this year is not about, championship or nothing like that. It's always, as a fan at heart, of course, it's about that. But it's about the team also being successful. But not necessarily successful, but I'll say it's about the team making progress. You know what I mean? Even if you don't have a great team, if you don't win the championship, you still want to make progress. You still want to make progress, right? So it's just about, the team getting better. It's about these players not only getting better individually, but also, on the team level, because you can't success if the next guy isn't doing their job. You know what I mean? So it's just, this is just my thoughts. Like I said, on some on guys who I'm really looking forward to, who I'm going to just keep an extra eye on during camp. And I appreciate everybody sitting through, with me. Like I said, if you guys hadn't yet, thank you, thank you for being here with me. Hit the like button, hit the share button, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. And like I said, make sure you guys stay tuned for the series. Thank you to everybody. Stephen White Loves Beauty, my sister Star in the building. Thank you so much. To everybody, JBB boy, I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for being here for me, and I really hope you guys catch the next show. I'm out. Catch y'all later.